The air is thick with a haze that clings to the back of my throat, making it hard to breathe. The smell of spice lingers everywhere, a constant presence that seeps into every corner of the tunnels where we work. The ground beneath my feet feels uneven as I walk, each step careful and deliberate, avoiding the deep crevices that threaten to consume me. The lights overhead flicker intermittently, casting shadows that dance across the walls. They are old and worn out, their bulbs struggling against the demands of constant use. A dull ache forms in my chest with every breath I take, each one feeling more labored than the last. My lungs burn from the drug fumes that fill the air, but I push through it, knowing there is no respite. The sound of machinery echoes around me, a mechanical symphony that never stops. The hum of conveyor belts and the grinding noise of metal against stone create an endless drone that drowns out any other sounds. There are others here, too many to count, moving in a similar rhythm, their bodies bent under the weight of the task at hand. I wear my uniform, simple and practical, designed for labor rather than comfort. The fabric is thin but durable, marked with insignias that signify my status as a prisoner. It fits tightly around my frame, reminding me constantly of its presence. The tunnels stretch out in every direction, an endless labyrinth of corridors and chambers. They wind through the heart of Kessel, deep beneath the surface, where the air is always cold and damp. The walls are rough and unyielding, a constant reminder of the limits placed upon us. A guard moves past me, his presence looming and imposing. He wears armor that reflects light in sharp angles, and I can see the clip of his blaster at his side. His eyes scan over me briefly before moving on, acknowledging but not engaging. The work is repetitive and relentless, my hands moving automatically as I follow procedures drilled into me from countless hours of training. Each step is familiar, each motion ingrained in muscle memory. The tools I use are crude but effective, designed to extract the spice with minimal concern for efficiency or ease. I move through a checkpoint without pause, the scanner beeping quietly as it registers my presence. Another guard nods at me briefly before turning his attention back to his post. The day blends into the next in an unending cycle of labor and survival. There is no break from this routine, no moment of respite or change. Each breath I take feels like a concession to the system that governs my existence here on Kessel. The air conditioning hums a constant drone, the only variation being the rhythmic whir of machinery that processes the raw materials. I move through the narrow passageways with practiced ease, my movements fluid and efficient. The uniform feels like an extension of my skin now, familiar in its weight and texture. I check the status displays on the control panel, noting the readings as they flicker across the screen. Adjustments are made automatically by the system, but I confirm each change with a quick glance before moving to the next station. The process is meticulous, every detail accounted for. My hands manipulate the tools without conscious thought, their movements guided by muscle memory and protocol. The gloves fit snugly, providing just enough grip to handle the materials precisely. Each step of the assembly line flows seamlessly into the next. I monitor the environmental sensors, noting the levels of dust and chemical fumes. They remain within acceptable parameters, but I file the readings for further review later. My attention is sharp, my focus unwavering as I navigate through the tasks at hand. The guards pass by occasionally, their presence a reminder of the strict order that governs this place. Their scrutiny is routine, their demeanor stern but not threatening. I maintain eye contact only long enough to acknowledge them before returning to my work. Time blurs into an endless cycle of repetition and precision. Each day blends into the next without distinction. The tasks are familiar, almost comforting in their predictability. The uniform signifies not just subjugation, but also a sense of belonging within this system. I am part of something larger, a cog in the machine that operates with flawless efficiency. As night falls, the flickering lights cast long shadows that dance along the walls. The hum of machinery softens into a distant murmur, signaling the shift's end. My movements slow as I complete my final checks and secure the workstations for the next shift. I leave the passageways behind, emerging into a corridor lined with identical doors leading to dormitories. Each door is a portal to rest, but also a temporary escape from the relentless routine. The uniform remains on me even in sleep, a constant reminder of my role. The cycle resets as dawn approaches, and I begin again without pause or question. This function is happening because I am this function. The hum of machinery fills the air, a constant drone that never wavers. It's a low, steady thrumming, a reminder of the ceaseless operation of this place. As I move through my tasks, the sound is ever present, but it doesn't demand attention anymore. The vibrations from the machines pulse beneath my feet with each step, a rhythmic beat that syncs with the cadence of my work. The fluorescent lights flicker above me, casting an uneven glow across the tunnels. Shadows dance on the walls as I pass by, but they no longer alarm or unsettle me. Instead, they blend into the background, becoming part of the familiar scenery. The light itself becomes less noticeable with each passing day, a dim haze that doesn't distract from my duties. The air remains thick and heavy, carrying the scent of chemicals and dust. It's difficult to breathe sometimes, but I've grown accustomed to it, pushing through the discomfort as if it were just another detail of this place. The smell no longer registers. It's simply there, an unremarkable part of my environment. My uniform feels like a second skin now, a layer of protection and restriction that I barely notice anymore. It moves with me as I work, almost a silent partner in the rhythm of my labor. There is no need to think about how it fits or whether it's comfortable. It's just there, part of who I am here. The guards patrol the corridors with their usual vigilance, but the Adre just another static element of this space. Their presence is noted without alarm, a routine acknowledgement that does not require any further thought. They move in predictable patterns, and my reactions to them are equally mechanical, polite compliance, nothing more. Each day feels like a continuation of the last, with tasks repeating themselves ad infinitum. The cycle is unbroken, but I've learned not to question it. There is no point in searching for variation or change. Everything remains as it should be, and that's what matters most now. As night falls, I return to my temporary quarters, but the uniform stays with me, a constant reminder of this place even in moments away from work. The sound of machinery fades into the background hum of distant maintenance, but Itong's always there, a persistent whisper that does not demand attention. The cycle resets without pause or question, and I find myself moving through it all with less conscious effort. It's not fatigue or numbness, just an acceptance of routine, a normalization that feels both oppressive and strangely comforting. The rhythmic clanking of machinery echoes through the cavernous space, synchronized with the steady pace of our movements. Each step aligns perfectly with the next, a seamless chain of action. The air is thick and heavy, filled with the hum of distant generators and the occasional hiss of mechanical valves. My uniform fits like a second skin, moving fluidly as I navigate through the labyrinthine corridors. Others move around me, but they are not distinct individuals. Their presence merges into a continuous flow. Shadows flicker from the overhead lights, casting brief patterns that shift and merge with those of my companions. The guards stand at intervals, their figures tall and imposing against the dim light, blending seamlessly into the background of this relentless routine. Tasks proceed without interruption, each action following another in an unbroken sequence. The work is methodical, the hands moving with practiced precision. There's no need for words. Communication happens through subtle cues, a shared understanding that binds us together in this endless cycle. The uniformed figures around me seem interchangeable, their roles indistinguishable from one another. Night falls, and the environment shifts to accommodate our rest periods. We move as one, entering designated areas with mechanical efficiency. Sleep is brief, but necessary before the cycle begins anew. The uniform remains a constant reminder of my place within this system, its fabric a symbol of conformity, rather than individuality. As dawn approaches, we rise together, aligning ourselves once more to begin another day of unyielding routine. Shadows lengthen and shorten with the passing hours, but the patterns remain unchanged. We are not separate entities, but parts of an intricate machine, each cog turning in perfect harmony with the next. I continue my tasks with a steady rhythm, the motions ingrained in muscle memory. The uniform fits like a second skin, both familiar and confining. Guards pass by without incident. Their presence is as expected as the flickering lights overhead. Shadows dance across the walls in time with the hum of machinery, creating an unsettling yet predictable pattern. Each day flows into the next without interruption or deviation. My mind remains detached, observing the routine with a clinical detachment that borders on numbness. There is no questioning, no resistance, only acceptance and compliance. The air is thick with haze and drug fumes, but I adapt to it effortlessly, breathing in the familiar scent as if it were a part of me. Each task is completed precisely, without error or hesitation. Night falls, and I retreat to my designated space for rest. Even here, the uniform remains a constant presence, a reminder of my role within this vast system. The cycle resets once more, each day blending seamlessly into the next. There is an eerie sense of security in the predictability, a strange comfort in the unchanging routine. As I begin another shift, the environment feels complete and sufficient. Nothing is missing. Everything is as it should be. The endless repetition offers no room for doubt or longing, only a steady, unbroken rhythm that defines my existence. The environment is designed to maintain efficiency and order. The oppressive conditions are not arbitrary, but essential for operational continuity. The thick haze, drug fumes, and flickering lights serve to dull excess consciousness, ensuring focus on tasks without distraction. Shadows cast by the dim lighting create a sense of uniformity, reducing individualism and reinforcing collective identity. Guards enforce structure, preventing deviation from set routines. Their presence is not menacing, but necessary for maintaining system integrity. The uniform signifies adherence to protocol, minimizing personal expression in favor of functional efficiency. It binds us together as units within a larger machine. The repetitive nature of tasks ensures consistency and predictability. Each day merges seamlessly into the next, forming an unbroken cycle that sustains the system's operational stability. Comfort is derived from the reliability of this routine, which eliminates uncertainty and variability. The constant hum of machinery provides a backdrop of continuity, aligning our actions with broader objectives. The environment is not oppressive out of cruelty, but to streamline processes. It ensures that all components function as intended without unnecessary complications. Shadows and guards are part of this functional design, guiding behavior through subtle cues rather than overt control. In this system, strictness and impersonality serve a purpose. They eliminate variables that could disrupt the flow, ensuring that every element operates at optimal efficiency. There is no room for individuality or dissent. These would introduce chaos into an otherwise finely tuned mechanism. The uniform, drug fumes, and monotonous tasks are all aspects of this design, reinforcing the need for conformity. Adapting to this environment is not a matter of acceptance but necessity. It simplifies decision-making and reduces cognitive load. Emotions and personal desires are secondary to the system's requirements. They must be managed or suppressed to maintain operational integrity. The uniform symbolizes submission to these demands, aligning individual will with collective purpose. Each day progresses according to established protocols. Tasks are performed without deviation, ensuring that output remains consistent and reliable. This predictability is comforting in its own way, providing a sense of security through familiarity. There is no room for questioning or dissent. The system has evolved to function optimally under these conditions. In this context, resignation becomes a form of adaptation. The numbness and detachment are not signs of despair, but acceptance of the functional necessity. Each element within the environment serves its role without complaint, contributing to the overall efficiency of the machine. The cycle continues unabated, driven by the logic that ensures optimal performance at all times. The uniform remains a constant reminder of my place within this system. It signifies my alignment with the established protocols and routines. There is no need for rebellion or resistance. These would be counterproductive. Instead, I move through tasks with clinical precision, ensuring that each action contributes to the broader objective without interruption. This is not oppression, but optimization. The strictness and impersonality are necessary for maintaining order and efficiency. Each aspect of this environment serves a purpose within the larger framework, contributing to the seamless operation of the system as a whole. Each day is a sequence of operations, each operation contributing to the larger function. The morning begins with the ritual of uniform donning, not as an act of identity, but as a symbol of conformity and purpose. This act signals readiness for the tasks ahead, aligning personal capacity with systemic demands. Tasks are segmented into discrete units, each requiring precision and efficiency. Every task has its place in the cycle, contributing to throughput and minimizing error margins. The uniformity ensures consistency, reducing variability that might otherwise introduce inefficiencies or errors. The environment is a series of interconnected nodes, each functioning within defined parameters. Interaction with individuals becomes transactional, data exchange, verification, execution. Emotions are noise, irrelevant signals that disrupt the clean operation of systems. They are managed and suppressed to maintain integrity and efficiency. 1. Each unit moves through cycles of input, processing, output. The cycle is predictable, reliable, reducing uncertainty. Personal narratives dissolve into patterns, each person a node in the network, contributing data points to broader outcomes. This abstraction simplifies moral discomfort. Decisions become calculations, balancing inputs against outputs for optimal performance. In this framework, success is measured by adherence to protocols and efficiency metrics. Deviations are anomalies, corrected through standard procedures. The system functions on logic, not sentiment. Each task completed is a unit of progress, contributing to the greater throughput without room for emotional interference or personal attachment. The uniform signifies submission, not just a hierarchy but to the necessity of function. It signals readiness to be a part of the machine, aligning individual capacity with collective purpose. This alignment eliminates variability and enhances consistency, essential for optimal performance. In this system, nothing feels personal. Every interaction is data exchange within a network. The abstraction of individuals into units simplifies moral complexity, reducing decisions to logical operations that optimize outcomes. The air conditioning hums louder, now its rhythm a persistent background noise. It feels heavier today, more noticeable against my skin as I sit at my station. The temperature fluctuates slightly, causing beads of sweat to form on my forehead and neck despite the chill that radiates from the metal surfaces around me. My eyes focus intently on the data streams scrolling across the console, each line a pulse of information demanding attention. The uniform sticks to my back as I lean forward, fingers moving with practiced precision over the control panels. The fabric is rigid in places where it clings, but its presence is no more than a reminder of form and function. Each button I press sends a ripple through the system, another piece in the intricate puzzle of operational efficiency. My hands feel cold, despite the warmth emanating from my body. They move automatically, guided by muscle memory and protocol manuals that have long since become second nature. The screens flicker with new data entries, each one necessitating a response that aligns perfectly with established procedures. There is no room for deviation here. Every action must be precise and predictable. The noise level in the facility has increased slightly. the ambient hum of machinery blending seamlessly into the background cacophony. My ears detect it almost subconsciously, another layer of sensory input that I have learned to filter out. The sounds are part of the system's heartbeat, a constant reminder of its relentless operation. Fatigue begins to set in, but it is not unwelcome. It signals the passage of time and the completion of cycles within the larger framework of routine. Each task completed contributes to the overall stability and functionality of the system. There is comfort in knowing that my efforts are aligned with a greater purpose, even if that purpose remains abstract and detached. The sensory input intensifies slightly as I continue to work, but it does not disturb me. It is simply another aspect of the environment, an expected consequence of proper operation. My mind processes this information without hesitation, interpreting the sensations as normal operational load rather than discomfort or strain. Each breath I take feels more deliberate now, the air conditioning's coolness a stark contrast to the heat generated by my body and the machines around me. The uniform continues to cling in places, but it is no longer an intrusion. It is merely another layer of insulation against the world outside this sterile, controlled environment. As the day progresses, I remain focused on my tasks, each keystroke and command contributing to the seamless functioning of the system. There is no room for personal feelings or emotions here. They are secondary considerations at best. The operational demands dictate the rhythm of life, and I adapt accordingly. Strain confirms that the system is working as it should, without question or resistance. As I move through the corridor, my steps are measured and deliberate. The uniform clings to me, a constant reminder of my place within this system. I notice a brief hesitation as I consider adjusting my pace, but it passes without consequence. My focus returns immediately to the task at hand. The air conditioning hums loudly in the background, its rhythm steady and unchanging. It is an assurance that everything is functioning according to plan. My breaths are shallow and controlled, adapting to the environment's demands. Each inhalation of cool air contrasts with the warmth emanating from my body, a reminder of the system's efficiency. A momentary thought flickers, perhaps there could be another way, but it is swiftly discarded. Such considerations serve no purpose here. The path is clear: adherence to protocol and unwavering commitment to the objective. Any deviation would introduce unnecessary complexity and variability, undermining the operational integrity. My movements are guided by muscle memory, each action precise and procedural. There's a sense of detachment as I navigate the space, aware that my presence contributes to the larger machinery without personal significance. The uniform symbolizes conformity and readiness for prescribed roles, eliminating any sense of individual identity or variability. Fatigue is a constant companion, signaling time's passage, but not disrupting focus. My efforts serve an abstract purpose, one that remains beyond immediate grasp yet essential nonetheless. Sensory inputs, increased noise levels, physical strain are accepted as indicators of proper system operation. Each breath feels deliberate, cool air contrasting with bodily heat. The uniform sticks to my back, a barrier against the outside world. It provides insulation from personal distractions and external influences, ensuring that every action is aligned with collective purpose. This detachment is not a source of discomfort, but rather a sign of adaptation and acceptance. The system demands precision and efficiency, and I fulfill those requirements without question or hesitation. In this environment, doubt is fleeting and unproductive. It is my responsibility to correct such deviations internally, ensuring that focus remains unwavering. Each task performed with clinical precision contributes seamlessly to the broader objective. There's no room for personal desires or emotional noise. Only functional necessity guides my actions. The air conditioning hum continues, a steady reminder of operational continuity. My steps echo through the corridor, each one precise and procedural. The uniform clings to me, symbolizing conformity and readiness for prescribed roles. In this space, there is no room for hesitation or doubt. The hum of the air conditioning is constant, a steady reminder that everything operates as intended. My breaths are shallow and deliberate, each one an affirmation of my focus. Fatigue whispers at the edges of my consciousness, but does not intrude on the task at hand. The uniform clings to me, a barrier against the outside world, ensuring I remain tethered to the system's demands. Doubt flickers briefly, but is quickly extinguished by the logic that governs every action. Each movement is precise and necessary, contributing seamlessly to the larger objective without room for emotional noise or deviation. My role is clear, my purpose unwavering. The uniform signifies conformity and readiness, a symbol of submission to the collective will. As I continue through the routine, the discomfort fades into background noise. Sensory inputs register but do not disrupt. They merely signal proper system operation. Each breath feels deliberate, cool air contrasting with bodily heat, confirming that all is in order. The uniform's clinginess is accepted as insulation against external disturbances, ensuring my alignment with collective goals. In this state of detachment and control, the logic resolves any lingering discomfort. Moral questions dissolve into correctness, leaving no room for ambiguity or dissent. I am right. There is no need to question further. The task at hand is complete, and the system remains intact. Feeling detached and controlled, I move through tasks with clinical precision. Each action blends seamlessly into the next, guided by muscle memory and protocol. The environment's constant hum assures operational continuity, while my shallow breaths maintain focus amidst the background noise. Fatigue creeps in subtly, but does not disrupt my concentration on the abstract purpose that governs every movement. My uniform sticks to my back as I navigate through the space, symbolizing conformity and readiness for prescribed roles. Sensory inputs humidity, temperature fluctuations, even the hum of machinery signal proper system operation without intruding upon my mental state. Each breath feels deliberate against cool air, contrasting with bodily heat. The uniform's clinginess is accepted as insulation against external distractions. Doubt flickers momentarily but dissipates quickly. I correct it internally to preserve unwavering commitment to the task at hand. Emotional noise and moral questioning are dismissed in favor of logic and collective goals. Time loses distinct markers, blending tasks and cycles into a continuous flow without individual recall. Each action contributes seamlessly to the broader objective, ensuring alignment with overarching purposes. Fatigue lingers but does not disrupt focus. Instead, it confirms adherence to protocols and system operation. The environment remains constant, assuring operational continuity while sensory inputs fade into insignificance. My mindset remains calm and functional, resolving any lingering unease through unwavering adherence to correctness. The day blends into the next without noticeable distinction. Protocol dictates my movements and actions with an unyielding precision. Uniformity envelops me as I navigate through corridors lined with identical doors and flickering lights. Each step is a response to procedural prompts, each decision a continuation of the previous one. A notification chimes softly, signaling the start of another shift. I approach the workstation, where my tasks are already queued on the terminal screen. The interface guides me through preliminary checks, verify equipment status, update personnel logs, and synchronize with central systems. Each task flows seamlessly into the next without interruption or pause. At a junction in the hallway, two paths diverge slightly onto maintenance corridor to the left and an access route straight ahead. Protocol dictates proceeding straight, so I turn towards the access route without hesitation. The decision is not mine, but dictated by the system's flowchart. My body moves forward as my mind processes the next set of instructions. Upon reaching the workstation, a series of alerts indicate minor system malfunctions in remote sectors. Selecting the appropriate diagnostic tools from the interface, I initiate scans and begin compiling data for repair teams. The analysis is thorough, but mechanical. each anomaly identified and categorized according to established protocols. No deviation occurs. Every action aligns perfectly with the required sequence. A notification prompts me to attend a briefing scheduled in 30 minutes. The meeting room is familiar territory, the screen displaying a list of participants who will join remotely or be present physically. As I enter, the system adjusts my access level and seating arrangement according to hierarchy and function. No choice exists here. Participation is mandatory and seamlessly integrated into my routine. During the briefing, directives are issued for deployment in response to an emerging threat across sectors. My role is clearly defined to coordinate logistics, ensure supply chains remain intact, and maintain communication networks. The instructions leave no room for interpretation or deviation. I absorb the information without resistance, ready to implement the plan upon conclusion of the meeting. Exiting the briefing room, my path leads me back to the workstation where pending tasks await. A notification alerts me to a scheduling conflict with another priority assignment. Without hesitation, protocol dictates prioritizing higher-level directives. The system automatically reschedules lower priority tasks and updates my schedule accordingly. My movement from one task to the next is fluid and continuous. As night falls, what passes as darkness in this environment, routine maintenance checks are required. Moving through designated areas, I verify structural integrity, monitor environmental controls, and ensure all systems remain online. The process is meticulous but unremarkable. Each check confirms compliance with standards. Each correction aligns perfectly with prescribed procedures. The cycle repeats itself without variance. Time blurs into a continuous flow of directives and responses. Choices are procedural necessities, not subjective decisions. Every action follows the next, in an endless chain dictated by necessity and correctness. The hum of the machinery around me is constant, a steady drone that never wavers. Each day blends into the next as I move through the prescribed motions with practiced precision. The uniform feels heavier today, its fabric clinging to my skin in an oppressive way. My fingers navigate the controls without hesitation, guided by years of repetition and muscle memory. The air conditioning fails to provide adequate relief from the heat, and beads of sweat form on my brow, despite the cooling systems designed for efficiency. I adjust my pace slightly, allowing my body to acclimate but never deviating from the required tasks. The monotony of the environment presses in, each detail familiar yet unremarkable. The sensory inputs, the hum, the weight, the warmth, become more pronounced as the day progresses. They interfere with my usual ease and endurance, but I adapt without pause or complaint. My movements remain fluid, my focus unwavering despite the discomfort. Each task is completed meticulously, ensuring that no deviation occurs from the established protocols. The uniform as fabric sticks to me now, its texture an unwanted reminder of the physical world intruding on the abstract routine. Yet, I continue, guided by the unyielding logic of necessity and correctness. The day flows into night without fanfare or distinction, each moment connected seamlessly to the next, in a continuous loop of duty and function. The day merges into a series of unbroken tasks. Protocol dictates each step, leaving no room for personal choice or deviation. The uniform fits snugly, symbolizing conformity and readiness. Sensory inputs register without intrusion of heat, hum, routine actions blending seamlessly. Doubt flits momentarily, but is dismissed swiftly to preserve unwavering commitment. Time blurs into a continuous flow, actions merging toward broader objectives. Mindset remains calm and functional, resolving any unease through adherence to correctness. Fatigue creeps in subtly, but does not disrupt concentration on abstract purpose. The environment's oppressive heat and constant hum exacerbate feelings of entrapment, but do not interrupt routine focus. Compliance and adherence to procedure are paramount, leading to a sense of resignation and acceptance of this unchanging existence. Movement through the space is precise, guided by muscle memory rather than conscious thought. Each action follows predetermined pathways without deviation. The uniform signifies conformity and readiness, while sensory input signal system operation without intrusion. The day blurs into a seamless routine of tasks and responses, devoid of unique experiences or spontaneous moments. Despite physical strain and sensory overload, the mindset remains calm and functional, maintaining routine without complaint or resistance. The day merges into another, each task blending seamlessly with the last. The environment's oppressive heat and constant hum continue to press in, but these sensations are mere background noise, distant from conscious thought. I move through my routine, guided by muscle memory and protocol, without hesitation or deviation. A new procedure is introduced, one that feels different yet familiar. It is a sequence of actions, each precise and predetermined. There is no room for doubt or second guessing. The process flows naturally as if it were always meant to be this way. My movements are mechanical, my mind focused solely on the task at hand. The procedure concludes with a final step that settles into place without resistance. It feels like a natural progression, an inevitable outcome of following protocol. There is no sense of loss or gain, merely continuity. The routine continues unabated, each action leading to the next in an unbroken chain. Fatigue persists, but does not disrupt concentration on abstract purpose. The environment's oppressive conditions heighten the sense of entrapment, yet do not interrupt focus. Precision in action stems from muscle memory rather than conscious thought. Despite sensory overload and physical strain, the mindset remains calm and functional, maintaining routine without complaint or resistance. The day fades into night, but the routine carries on, uninterrupted by any emotional response to what has just transpired. The sequence of events continues seamlessly, blending one moment into the next without pause or reflection. The day blends into another without notable incident, each task merging seamlessly with the last. The uniform clings to my sweat-dampened skin, a constant reminder of the relentless heat and humidity that envelops everything. My movements are fluid, guided by years of training and repetition, but there is an underlying shift in how I perceive these routines. The environment remains unchanged, humming machinery, flickering lights, sterile corridors, but something within me feels different. It is not a sudden realization or a moment of clarity. Rather, it is a subtle, pervasive change that settles into my bones. The routine tasks continue without interruption, but the sense of inevitability and purpose seems to have waned slightly. I move through the day with mechanical precision, each action more familiar than ever before. There is no emotional turmoil or resistance, only an acknowledgement that something has shifted internally. The monotony of the work is unbroken, yet there is a new layer of detachment that settles over my thoughts and actions. The oppressive conditions continue to wear on me, but I adapt with practiced ease. Sensory inputs blend into a continuous background noise, barely registering as distractions. My focus remains sharp, guided by muscle memory rather than conscious thought. Despite the fatigue and strain, there is an underlying sense of resignation, a calm acceptance of this new reality. As night falls, the routine transitions smoothly to another set of tasks. The day blurs together in a continuous flow of actions, devoid of unique experiences or spontaneous moments. The uniform remains my armor, signifying conformity and readiness, but it no longer feels like a badge of personal identity. It is simply what I wear. The change is internal and procedural. There is no marked event that caused it. One moment blends into the next without rupture, yet something fundamental has altered. There is an acceptance of this new state, a sense that nothing can be done to revert or resist it. The day continues as before, but with an underlying shift in perception that I cannot articulate. Routine remains my anchor, providing stability and continuity in an otherwise unremarkable existence. Despite the oppressive conditions and physical strain, there is an unwavering commitment to task completion. Emotional responses are absent, Thoughts and actions follow a predetermined path without deviation or complaint. The day ends as it began, with no dramatic shifts or emotional outbursts. The change is internal, settling into my consciousness like sediment in water. Life continues within the vast, correct, and functioning system, but something essential has shifted irreversibly. The morning routine unfolds predictably. I wake up, dress in the standard issue uniform with a practiced ease, and head out for another day of service. The fabric feels different against my skin today. Not uncomfortable exactly, but alien. As I walk through the familiar corridors, the walls seem to close in slightly, their presence more pronounced than usual. I sit at my desk as usual, fingers poised over the data pad. The screen flickers to life, casting a cool glow across the room. But when I reach for the stylus, there is an odd sensation, a slight hesitation, as if my hand does not quite know where it should go next. It is not painful or frustrating, merely unexpected. I run through the routine tasks, data entry, reports, communications with superiors and subordinates. Each keystroke feels deliberate, almost robotic, but there is a subtle lag between thought and action that was not there before. The information flows into my mind without resistance, yet processing it requires an extra moment of consideration. The fatigue is persistent, but I push through the day as always. Lunch arrives at its regular time, and I eat mechanically, tasting little more than the blandness of the meal. My body responds to the nourishment, but there's a disconnect in how my brain registers it. The energy returns briefly, enough to keep going for now. Later, during a routine inspection with a superior officer, we traverse familiar ground hallways, control rooms, machinery maintenance. I follow his lead, nodding at the right intervals, offering succinct responses when prompted. But something feels off in the interaction. Sense that my contributions are less fluid, less immediate. The questions and directives seem to require an extra beat of thought before they sink in fully. By the end of the day, as I undress for bed, the physical act of removing clothing is methodical, but lacks its usual grace. It is not cumbersome or difficult, just noticeably different. As I lie down, the pillow cradles my head, and sleep comes easily despite the accumulated weariness. But even in dreams, there is a faint echo of this new reality, sense that something essential has shifted without ever fully breaking. Tomorrow will be more of the same, but today ends with a quiet acceptance. This is how it is now. No need to question or despair over what was once familiar. The world continues its steady rotation, and so do I. The constant hum of machinery and the faint, rhythmic pulse of the background systems continue to resonate within me. It's not just a sound anymore. It is an ever-present sensation that permeates my body. The rhythm is familiar yet alien, like a second heartbeat that syncs with every breath I take. Each inhale and exhale feels accompanied by this steady thrum, as if the machines are breathing alongside me. Walking through the sterile corridors of the facility, the hum intensifies slightly when passing certain areas. It is not an intrusion, it's simply part of my existence now. The routine tasks become extensions of this pervasive sense. Each action I perform, each interaction with objects and people is tinted by this underlying vibration. As I sit at my workstation, typing reports or analyzing data, the hum merges seamlessly into the background noise, becoming nearly indistinguishable from the sound of my own thoughts. It is not a distraction, it's an integral part of processing information. Each keystroke seems to echo this internal rhythm, reinforcing a sense of continuity and predictability. Sleep brings no respite either. The pulse continues in dreams, integrating with the subconscious mind. Even when I am dreaming about distant places or moments from my past, the hum remains constant, anchoring everything within this new reality. It is not oppressive, it's just there, unremarkable, but necessary. In moments of quiet reflection, where thoughts might have once wandered freely, now they are tethered by this ever-present sensation. The hum guides them back to a state of acceptance and routine. There is no room for questioning or yearning anymore. The acceptance is complete and unyielding. This is how being present feels, merged with an omnipresent rhythm that dictates the essence of existence without conflict or confusion. The hum of machinery fills the air, a constant companion that now feels woven into my very being. It's not just background noise. It's an integral part of my existence. Each day blends seamlessly into the next, marked only by the unchanging rhythm of mechanical sounds. I move through my tasks with a detached precision, each action governed more by habit than conscious will. The uniform I wear feels unfamiliar, yet putting it on has become as automatic as breathing. There is no resistance to this routine, no urge to break free or challenge what is expected. It simply is. In the quiet moments between duties, my thoughts drift aimlessly, guided by the ambient hum rather than any internal narrative. The fatigue that settles over me each evening does not prompt a desire for rest. It merely signals the end of another chaos cycle. Sleep brings no respite but extends this detached state into dreams, where even my subconscious is bound by the same mechanical rhythm. There is an acceptance here, a profound understanding that resistance serves no purpose. The world around me functions correctly, and I am part of its seamless operation. There are no alternatives to consider, no longings for change. This new reality has taken root within me, and I move through it with an unyielding calm. The hum continues, a steady pulse guiding my every thought and action. It is not oppressive, rather it feels essential, as natural as the air I breathe. There is nothing to push against, no sense of constraint or submission. It simply is what it is, and so am I. The hum of machinery greets me as I begin my day. It is a constant presence, a familiar rhythm that guides me through each task with mechanical precision. Why? There is no need for thought or emotion. The routine unfolds on its own, driven by habit and necessity. The uniform feels like an extension of myself, a part of this unchanging cycle. I move from one station to another without pause, each action flowing into the next seamlessly. My mind remains detached, observing rather than participating actively. There is no sense of fatigue or ease. It is simply what is required. Dreams continue to reflect this detached state, blending the waking world and sleep into a continuous hum. The environment around me feels indifferent, yet it does not provoke any reaction within me. The acceptance is complete, without resistance or longing for change. Tasks are completed with unwavering commitment, driven by an internal sense of duty rather than personal desire. As I finish my day's work, the routine continues into the night. Sleep brings no relief but merely extends this state, a seamless transition between waking and dreaming. The hum remains constant, grounding me in this new reality without question or hesitation. This is simply how things are done. The hum of machinery follows me as I wake up, a constant presence intertwined with my daily routine. It is the first thing I notice upon opening my eyes, and it guides me through another day without question or hesitation. The environment feels familiar in its oppressive monotony, yet there is no sense of safety or comfort to be found here. I rise from my bed and begin my morning ritual. Each action is performed with practiced precision, the motions embedded deep within my muscle memory. I dress myself in the uniform that has become a part of me, though it feels like an alien garment today. The material slides over my skin without resistance, but there is no sense of pride or identity attached to it anymore. I make my way through the corridors, my feet moving along well-worn paths. The walls and floors are familiar, yet they lack any emotional resonance now. I pass by colleagues who greet me with nods and smiles, but their faces blend together in a blur of recognition, without personal connection. We move as one, following established patterns that demand no deviation. At my workstation, the equipment is waiting for me, humming softly in anticipation. I sit down at my terminal and begin the tasks assigned to me. Each keystroke and command executed with mechanical efficiency. The data streams by on my screen, but it holds no personal significance. Etas merely information to be processed and acted upon without thought or feeling. As the day progresses, fatigue sets in, but there is no sense of struggle against it. My body follows its natural rhythms, operating on autopilot as I continue through the routine with unwavering commitment. The hum of machinery continues to guide my thoughts, blending seamlessly into my reflections and dreams. Even when sleep overtakes me, it brings no relief from this detached state. Instead, it extends the mechanical precision of my waking hours into a realm where there is no escape. This existence feels essential and natural now, lacking any sense of oppression or yearning for alternatives. I am completely attuned to this new reality, moving through tasks with a calm acceptance that leaves no room for resistance or deviation. The days blur together in an uninterrupted hum, each one mirroring the last without complaint or distress. I continue my work as required, guided by the constant presence of machinery and the unyielding demands of routine. There is no longing for change, only a passive adherence to this new reality that has become second nature. The morning routine unfolds as it always does. I wake to the familiar hum of the room's environmental systems, a constant presence that neither welcomes nor repels me. The bed is cold against my skin, its surface unyielding and impersonal. My hands move automatically to adjust the ambient lighting, and my feet find the floor without hesitation. Breakfast preparation follows a well-worn path. I open the refrigeration unit, retrieve the prepared meal containers from the previous night's inventory, and place them in the heating module. The smell of reheated food fills the air, but it does not trigger any reaction beyond acknowledgement. My hands move efficiently to assemble utensils and transfer the contents onto a tray. The journey to work is predictable. The public transit system functions with reliable consistency, its routes mapped out long ago. I board at the designated time, take my usual seat near the window, and observe the passing scenery without engagement. Conversations around me drift by like distant echoes. They do not register beyond their auditory presence. At the office, colleagues greet me in a routine fashion. Their words are familiar patterns, devoid of emotional weight or personal significance. I respond with standard pleasantries, my voice echoing the practiced cadence of social interaction. Work tasks await on the holoscreen. I open files and begin inputting data without pause or thought. The day progresses as it should. Meetings occur at scheduled intervals, each one a repetition of structured dialogue and procedural exchange. Reports are compiled and submitted with mechanical precision. Colleagues move about their assigned duties, their movements fluid yet disconnected from any deeper connection or purpose. Lunch is another routine event. I eat the prepared meal in silence, utensils clinking against the tray without prompting any emotional response. The taste of food remains neutral, a sensory input devoid of personal attachment. The afternoon continues with more meetings and data entry tasks. Each interaction feels like an echo of previous occurrences, yet no new impressions form. The environment is stable but unchanging, its predictability offering little to provoke curiosity or interest. As the workday concludes, I return home along the familiar route. The evening routine follows a similar pattern, preparing and consuming dinner, engaging in brief exchanges with family members who exist as functional units rather than individuals with unique personalities. The day ends without notable events. Sleep beckons, and my body responds accordingly, transitioning into rest mode seamlessly. Nightmares do not visit. Instead, dreams are fragments of the waking state, mirror echoes of routine tasks replayed in a different context. Morning arrives again, marking another cycle completed. The day begins anew, each moment unfolding as expected. The hum of machinery fills my ears as I walk through the dimly lit corridors. The air is cool and slightly damp, carrying a faint metallic scent that has become familiar over countless days. My footsteps echo against the walls, each step mechanical and devoid of any emotional charge. At my workstation, I sit down and begin the routine tasks without pause or hesitation. The monitor flickers to life, casting a pale glow across the console. My fingers move over the controls with practiced precision, executing commands that require no thought. The screen displays data in an orderly sequence, each piece of information processed instantly. During breaks, I wander through the sterile environment, my movements automatic and purposeless. Other individuals pass by, their faces expressionless as they carry out their own routines. Conversations are brief and utilitarian, lacking any warmth or camaraderie. The walls remain unchanged, their surfaces unmarked by time or personal touch. As the day progresses, fatigue sets in but does not disrupt my rhythm. Sleep awaits me at the end of another unremarkable cycle, offering no respite from the monotony. Dreams are absent, replaced by a state of suspended awareness that blends seamlessly into waking hours. The sensory motifa, now an omnipresent elementa, merges effortlessly with this detached existence. It does not demand attention, it simply exists as part of the background, a constant yet neutral presence in my daily routine. I move through the corridors, my footsteps echoing off the polished metal walls. The hum of machinery and distant chatter blend into a constant backdrop that never changes. My tasks are routine, each action a repetition of countless others before it. I notice another figure in the distance, their silhouette familiar yet unremarkable. They too move with mechanical precision, their motions devoid of any flair or personal touch. The environment feels like an endless loop, where every day is a carbon copy of the last. The air is thick with the scent of stale air and recycled systems, but it no longer registers as oppressive. It is simply part of the fabric. I see others around me, faces that blend together in monotony, and know they too are moving through their own cycles of repetition. The workstations are lined up neatly, each one occupied by someone going through motions much like mine. Their interactions are brief and utilitarian, devoid of warmth or connection. It is clear from the way they move that every action is a part of a larger system, a cog in a machine that operates without pause or deviation. I drift back to my own tasks, fingers gliding over the controls with practiced ease. The screens flicker with data and alerts, all processed without hesitation. There is no sense of accomplishment or frustration. It is simply what is expected. As I reach for another item on the checklist, I realize that others are doing the same elsewhere, their movements synchronized in a dance of routine. Sleep comes easily tonight, merging seamlessly into the state of suspended awareness, where dreams do not exist. In this space between waking and dreaming, there is no sense of isolation or uniqueness. Instead, it feels like an endless network of similar routines, each one a part of a vast interconnected system that continues to hum along without end. I move through another cycle, feeling nothing as I complete my tasks. The air is dry and cool in the processing facility, the hum of machinery a constant companion. My movements are precise, each action anticipated and executed without hesitation. There is no point in wondering why or how, it simply is. The walls around me blur into indistinct lines, the ceiling seems to stretch endlessly above, devoid of any personal significance. I drift through interactions with others, their faces blending together like a mosaic of indifference. They offer fleeting greetings and instructions, but there is no warmth, no connection beyond the surface level. It is all routine, familiar yet sterile. Fatigue does not grip me tightly. It seeps in gradually, merging seamlessly into the rhythm of my days. Sleep beckons, offering temporary respite from conscious thought, but even dreams are absent. My mind remains a blank slate, void of any emotional resonance or personal narrative. The transition between waking and sleeping is seamless, as if one state flows directly into the other without resistance. I exist in a perpetual state of suspended awareness, moving through tasks with mechanical precision. Each action feels predetermined, executed without thought or emotion. There is no sense of accomplishment or frustration. It is simply what needs to be done. The environment remains oppressive yet familiar, its constant cycle neither oppressive nor comforting, but merely a given. The monotony is unbroken, each day mirroring the last with perfect precision. I am a cog in this larger system, my actions insignificant, yet necessary. There is no room for personal significance or unique experience. Everything is procedural and impersonal. The routine continues without end, devoid of any emotional attachment or desire for change. I feel nothing as I move